Thank you so much, Noella. You are just so amazing. You're keeping the energy high in this whole conference and webinar. So hello, everyone. Good evening from Luxembourg. I hope that you guys are all doing really great. Guys and girls, this is so amazing that you're here, and I'm really excited to speak to you. But oh my gosh, I just already feel the energy in the room after Maria's beautiful talk, which she also presented. I mean, this is just so inspiring. I'm just loving this. Okay. Anyway, it's really great to be with all of you today. I'm really delighted. And yeah, so hey, I'm Avanti. Noella did such a beautiful introduction, so thank you for that. And yes, I'm the director of AI and Growth, a workshop for me. And also, I'm also the brand ambassador of WeStem Plus, so that's actually the organization which Patricia was talking about earlier. And more recently, I'm also the founder of Let's Make SDGs Happen. So this is basically a global movement dedicated to empowering 1 million youth, and specifically Gen Z, towards the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals by 2030. So I'm really happy to be here with you talking about this important and also recently often spoken about topic, which is women in technology. Now, there's two ways of going about this subject. The first is to bombard you with numbers and statistics. So let's try that way out. So in the domain of tech, women make up only 33% of the tech workforce today. And this was actually a significant jump from 20 years ago in the 2000s when only 9% were represented. And still, the average salary of a woman in tech is $15,000 less than men. Now, the thing about this way is that it's quite easy to counter. And just as I presented these statistics to you, I could also say that 95% of garbage collectors in the US are men, and that that's unfair to men, and this will completely change the direction of the discussion completely. So here we can see that the numbers way isn't really working out. So let's kind of switch direction a little bit, and I think the other way would be to speak from my heart about the experiences I have directly gathered. So today, just because I'm feeling all of the energy in the room, I'm feeling like more going this way and speaking from my heart. Are you all with me? Is that good? Yeah? Okay, that's great. So let's get going. So, I mean, I'm also I'm young. I'm not as young as Maria, but I'm less than 25. I'll leave it at that. And then, as you know, because we're all iGens in this room, when you're an iGen, you can just guess the age range and I accept it. So whatever you guess, that's my age, okay? So, but basically, I've kind of grown up quite a stereotypical girl. I loved Pink, I loved watching Barbie, and I've watched that 3 dozen times, Swan Lake. And I loved having really long hair. I went to ballet classes at the age of 6, and I also went on to go to gymnastics competitions and compete in national level competitions and win some awards there. I was also part of a special choir in Luxembourg, and I actually got the opportunity to sing in the Christmas choir. So I was happy with life. Teachers were happy with me. My mom used to give me her fair share of scoldings and love. And then my dad used to support me. But overall, life was good. And I was around 9 by now. And in spring of 2016, my brother, who's 5 years older than me, was invited to deliver a talk at a global technology conference called LIFT 2016 in Geneva, Switzerland. My parents and I accompanied him. And LIFT was a big event. And it was my first time ever seeing something this huge. It was a massive stage where my brother delivered an amazing keynote on science and computing and became an instant celebrity. And during the conference, I had spent the 3 days perfecting my front handspring that I had learned in gymnastic classes. After the event, I returned home. But this event left a deep mark. I had seen the big stage, the huge dinner, and the thunderous applause. And I dreamt of some of those for myself, too. But how could I make it happen? The matter stayed in my subconscious mind. When back in Luxembourg, I was back in my usual routine, sleeping late on school nights, rushing through the chores, running to my classes. Life was as usual, until one more incident happened. my mother and brother founded an organization called Workshop for Me to introduce young children to coding. And the concept took off well, and it soon had all classes full on the weekends. There were even 6-year-old children signed up, and I knew deep down that they needed to be spoken to and treated differently. They wouldn't understand adult language and would often get intimidated by them. And that's where I found an opportunity. My brother was already busy with teenage students of his age. So we needed a 6-year-old or a young child of 9 to 10 to fill in the role. And that's where I came in. I just had to rise up to the occasion. So I did. I quickly learned Scratch, the programming tool used, and then perfected the art of teaching it to students of varying degrees of linguistic skills. And during this and becoming a coach at Workshop for Me, it actually led me to do what first sparked my eye. My first conference was actually in 2018, where I became a finalist for Booking.com's Technology Playmaker Awards, held in London, where Randy Zuckerberg, who was the director of marketing at Facebook, and Gillian Tans, the CEO of Booking.com, spoke about me and kind of in their speech. And then following from then on, later the same year, I actually delivered my first talk in Hungary, in Budapest, in the Scratch conference, where the founder of Scratch, which is a programming tool, attended my session. And then following from them, I kind of continued on the journey to present at different conferences like TEDxHU Berlin, or the European Commission's Digital Education Stakeholder Forum, or also Mobile World Congress Barcelona, which is the world's largest telecommunications event. But along the way, I've also been lucky enough to meet with some really incredible people. One who is actually here on this call, Patricia Souza, who's she's the CEO of Geek Girls, but she's also the founder of WeSTEM Plus, and she's very inspiring. She's really a dynamic powerhouse, as you can see, and it also is, her talk was really inspiring because it showed us that you need not be inside the tech field to contribute positively in this domain. Some other inspiring people who I met was also Randy Zuckerberg, who I mentioned, who kind of facilitated me and who also invited me to be interviewed on her podcast, Talk Complicated. Jill Rosen, the CMO of Amdocs, which is a software solution company, who actually inspired me by sharing his own journey. And also Simona Barberi, the founder of HubDot, and also Ayumi Moraoki, who's actually the founder of Women in Tech, which is a global organization empowering women. And then these people kind of empowered me and led me to be able to work on my own initiatives. So one, which is very close to my heart, is protecting us young girls online on social media platforms from catfishing and impersonation attacks, which I hope you have not gone through, but you may know that, Instagram and Snapchat and TikTok are also quite dangerous in this domain because a lot of people try to hide their identity or approach us without any of this to kind of spread wrong messages, ideas, or images. So I really wanted to work on solving this. Actually, a personal case also came up in my friend group, and that's also what motivated me to do this. And then from then, I've done a different amount of initiatives. But the point, or the kind of thing I want to share here is that, see, in your journey, you will find some obstacles. It's never an easy path. But you have to understand that the obstacles will never be you or your knowledge. They may be, and as I've seen over the years, they may be your surroundings, the people around you, and maybe also some people who you trust. And many of them may try to pass on their own fear of world to you. They may say, hey, look, I also tried this and I failed and I was much older to you. So in a way, that's planting a seed of fear, right? Or they also can say that, look, you're a child, you're a kid, you don't know, the world doesn't work like this, that's not how it's done, you're wrong, you have sinned, kind of putting in that mindset of defeat. And then the third type of misguidance, which I'll say, or which maybe can happen, is that when someone says, look, do what your heart says, do whatever you want, follow your passion. Now, this is good advice, but it also has to come with another thing attached to it. If someone says just follow your heart, then that doesn't really help in terms of guidance, right? Maybe I can say that, you know what, I love meeting people. I really like going out and hanging out and meeting new people. So I just want to become a security guard because then I'm always out, I'm meeting new people. Now, the point here is that should you do this, and the point of guidance here is should you do this as a hobby or should you do this as a profession? I mean, you can like meeting people and interacting and having fun experiences. There's no problem with that. But you should also know that if you have the capability of doing much more, then maybe you can meet people and go out on the weekends, that's fine. But as a profession, can do something else. And since we're at this conference, maybe even consider taking up technology or mathematics or science or anything like that. Now, the point is that you have to understand, many people may not say this, but in the position which you're in, which is secondary school, you have a very important choice ahead of you, which will determine a lot of things. I recently learned how to drive. Maybe you might also be learning driving. And maybe you know that when you're driving on the highway and you want to reach a destination, you can take the exit now towards your destination, or you can miss the exit and come back 20 minutes later, right? Now, they're the same. Maybe you still reach your same destination, but with those 20 minutes, you come with a lot of additional baggage, maybe even a few scratches on the car. So I think the point of this conference, and it's so wonderful that Noella is organizing this for this age group of, secondary school students, is that the point is to avoid this additional baggage being loaded off and to basically take an educated decision, right? Your best decision. I'm not telling you here to take tech, but we're telling you to maybe consider all of your options. And I think it's important to understand that there is ultimately, in a way, a hierarchy of career opportunities which can come in if you're surrounded by the right people. And if you feel deep down in your heart that maybe, I'm not living up to my potential, I'm not doing this, and thinking like that you're inferior, you're bad, I think one thing which is important is, first of all, not to think like this. If you think no one is beside you and that you're wrong, then say, you know what? No, Avanti says that's not correct, and Avanti is always with you, okay? So I'm always going to be with you. Even if the world tells you you're wrong, know that I'm always with you and that you're right. And what I mean by this is, if you have this continuous nagging feeling, then maybe it's also time to examine the circumstances around you. Sorry, I think that the network connection is something bad on my end. Okay, so I'm saying that maybe it's time to examine the circumstances which are around you, maybe the books you read, maybe the television shows which you watch, or maybe what is going on. Because at the end of the day, I think the books which you're reading and the content which you're consuming also plays a huge impact in your role. And I've seen this personally, and you can also try this. So maybe I would say that increase the ratio of nonfiction books during these growing up years, increase that ratio of biographies, autobiographies, and continuously keep reading and learning, because I think that's one of the best ways which you can make an educated decision about not only your career option, but whatever is ahead of you and whatever decisions you make in life later on as well. And then the other thing is that, until this age, until 30, that's kind of where we have this play and this flexible aspect of mind. So once you increase that ratio for those years, and then after 30, you can do whatever you want. You can go fully fledged into your hobbies and interests. But in these crucial years, try and focus on that and think about what you consume and the content which you see around you. Because that does, and there's many studies linked to this, play a huge role in your life and what you can do later on. So it's kind of to avoid these false flags or these wrong signals, because we have to understand as well that the world has a certain narrative which they want to push based on gender, based on stereotype, based on all of this. And that's a large reason why we're standing here today in the world of tech and trying to get more girls and more representation in this field. Is because ultimately the world may try and push a certain narrative that, you have to be this way or that way. So that's why I'm saying that be aware of these false flags and try and stay away from that signal and focus on more nonfiction books, because I think when you develop your ability to read and understand and decipher decisions, what's right and wrong on your own, that empowers you to do a lot more with the skills you have. And look, at the end of the day, I can stand here telling you to get into STEM or tech or robotics, but ultimately you do have to do what excites you, You have to it's a really important choice what you do, especially in this age. But to make an educated decision, you need to read and learn about all the possibilities. We just recently spoke about AI, and I think you all know. But look, we have great tools. We have ChatGPT, we have Gemini. And if you want to get into a profession, right? If you want to get into a skill or you think I'm going to go this direction, then maybe look in the day of a life as, right? So the day of a life as this, and you'll actually see it's going to give you a whole schedule of what you'll do based on your day to day, and see that, is this really what I want to do deep down? And then you'll learn more about it. You know, a lot of things, I mean, they sound really fancy. Like, look, I want to be a lawyer or a doctor. And they're really cool. We need all of these things in our lives. But is it for you? Will you enjoy doing this day to day? And maybe that's how you can use AI, by reading and also by learning and by seeing what a day in the life of this profession would be. And then once you're kind of equipped with all of these skills of knowledge, then ultimately you are the ones who decide where you want to go. And I'm sure you're going to do such amazing things. I'm really excited for the future which you will build as change makers. And that's also why I launched this organization, is because I really want to empower all of you who are the change makers of our future, building a better and more prosperous tomorrow. So thank you so much. If you're interested in getting involved, you can head over to letsmakesdgshappen.com and take a pledge under one of our 5 pillars. But apart from that, I mean, stay curious and really do what excites you, but make an educated decision. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Avanti, for that. Awesome, awesome, awesome. A round of applause for Avanti. Woo! Avanti kept harping, take an educated decision, challenge stereotypes. Don't let yourself be boxed by stereotypes, by biases. You know, Avanti told us that she started out doing everything the girls do, Barbie, ballet, choir, and all of that. But today, just attending that conference with her brother changed everything. You know, thank you so much, Avanti, for taking us through your journey. Please, if you have any question for Avanti, please type in the chat section. And we're going to drop all Avanti's links, so you follow her on all her links. And then, Avanti, please type your website as well, so that anybody wants to connect with you will do that right away. Thank you so much, Avanti. Thank you, thank you, thank you.